Hey guys, it's Crossroads here. Today I wanted to talk to you about PayPal, specifically the Honey scam. And I use that word lightly. My takes on it as far as what Honey is, as a reminder, what exactly happened, why there's this controversy, and the impact as an investor and, of course, a user of PayPal. I won't sugarcoat things. There's some good, there's some bad, and there's some, it happened. But let's take a look. So first, Honey, if you're not familiar with it, is a browser extension that you can use. Basically, is designed to see and help find the best um, deals and discounts, which it doesn't always. Apparently, according to the video by Megalag, we'll get into that in just a minute. But you install this browser extension, and that way, when you're actually shopping, it'll find deals and discounts automatically. So far, so good. You can see here course, at the time when this was published, this might be a little bit different now, but their Chrome Store reviews are very, very good. 17 million members. And if you go down just a bit as well, Honey members are getting an average of $126 yearly savings, a nice discount, and there's lots of participating merchants. So far, so good. This is also an acquisition of PayPal. So you may not associate Honey with PayPal. This was a Dan Schulman acquisition, which was completed in 2020 to the tune of about $4 billion. Did PayPal overpay? Absolutely. They use cash, thankfully. But yeah, it's another acquisition that was questionable, I think, at the time. In hindsight, it looked like they dramatically overpaid as well, but at least they integrated it somewhat well. So, what do I mean by integration? In the past, some of the products that PayPal had done as acquisitions, they kind of left it intact just the way it was when they bought it. They didn't actually integrate it into the entire system. So, you would have, for instance, if you bought Zoom, which PayPal did acquire, the HR team of Zoom would be intact. They wouldn't just bring them over and put them in part of PayPal's overall HR team. It would just be specific for that company. And as a result, there's been a lot of redundancies. It's one of the things that I was critical of PayPal when I first became an investor. And of course, Alex Chris is taking steps to solidify PayPal and change that siloed approach. Honey was a little bit less siloed as an acquisition, and they actually use this platform as well to build their advanced offers platform, which is one of their 7 first look products that I think will do quite well for them in the advertising space over this next couple of years. However, there is some concern with Honey here. So what happened is Megalag. You can search for this video. It's he does a very good job on it. I won't show any of it here, but he goes into detail on the Honey scam. And I don't know that the word scam is there for anything other than just clickbait, but there are some very valid concerns. So he found a couple of things, and the two most poignant are first, that Honey actually, when it searches for these discounts, it takes the referral code and gives it to itself. And so if you were a creator and you're like, hey, how about you buy this computer? You're like, great, I'll click that button. Honey then searches for any discounts, says that they can't find it, or maybe they find you a discount. And then when you make that purchase, the creator gets a little tiny cut from Honey, and PayPal Honey gets most of that referral revenue. That's not so good, especially because it wasn't exactly transparent. A lot of creators that were using it are very, very unhappy, rightfully so. There's actually a lawsuit, maybe a couple of lawsuits actually at this point, where they're suing Honey. Some of this stuff, and I think most, if not all of it, was being done prior to PayPal obtaining Honey, but it seems like it's still ongoing as well. Now, the other issue with Honey is that Honey would actually make agreements with individual merchants. There's, I believe, 30,000 merchants that Honey has agreements with. And part of the agreement is Honey says, okay, what codes do you want us to show? And what codes do you not want us to show at all? So sometimes Honey wasn't actually able to find the best discount and the best code. That makes it a little bit less useful. I still think it's fairly useful, but I've never really been that excited on Honey. I actually don't have it installed despite being a PayPal investor. I do actually have it on one of my laptops. I'll take that back. But outside of that, I use it very seldomly. And if you look at everything that I've written on X about PayPal in the bull case and the bear case, everything, the most that I've said about Honey was about 12 different posts over the last year and a half prior to, of course, this controversy. And it was that the acquisition was overly expensive and shouldn't have been done, that Honey would be a potential divestment target. Not sure if that's still the case or not, but it might be. And that Honey could have been better integrated in PayPal's ecosystem, but that it was really a nothing burger as far as revenue. Now, what's the impact here for PayPal? Now, first, on actual revenue, we don't know. This was measured in the hundreds of millions prior to Honey actually being bought out by PayPal. So in 2019, I believe that they generated about $300 million in revenue. This is not net revenue, this is just overall revenue. And we don't know what that's at now for PayPal. We know that PayPal actually posts their revenue. Let me actually show you this right quick. So if we look at, like, by the way, here, if you search for PayPal Honey, this right here is actually the biggest concern. So we'll actually just start here. It's reputation loss. So if you search PayPal Honey, you're not seeing any good things. You're of course seeing what it is, but a whole bunch of, this is really bad. This is a scam. Of course, Marquise Brownlee had a really good video, very balanced like he always is. And there's a lot of videos about it as well. By the way, I didn't see the word PayPal in the Honey scam. So at least there was that. This is probably going to be in the headlines, though, for the next few months. And then if you look at my post again, there's just not much that I wrote about Honey other than just it exists and it was too expensive. It's never been part of my bull case. And if you look at transcripts from the last year, not a single mention in their earnings transcripts about Honey. Also in the earnings presentation, nothing. Why is that? Because Honey was way too expensive. They shouldn't have bought it in the first place. They're using it now for the advance offers, so at least they're getting some use of it. But as far as actual revenue impact, I would say it's pretty minimal. Naturally, there's going to be some people that uninstall Honey. There'll be people that avoid Honey as a result. But it seems like most people are not associating Honey with PayPal as far as putting all the blame on PayPal, which PayPal does own Honey. And so there might be some ramifications depending on how these lawsuits are decided, if there's a settlement or not. But as far as PayPal's revenue, I think it's a very, very minuscule amount. It's not even worth really focusing on. The greater damage is reputation. PayPal, of course, came under fire under Dan Schulman's administration for a number of reasons. There's a Canadian trucker incident. There was the misinformation incident, which wasn't quite like it was oftentimes portrayed, that PayPal was charging people for misinformation. Nevertheless, it was spun that way, that PayPal was this woke dinosaur that just was all over the place culturally. And as a result, it was seen as very negatively in some circles. So this Honey debacle, I don't think is a scam. I don't think that's the right word to say. But it's certainly not a good look for PayPal, which already had some reputational loss under Dan Schulman. The good thing is Alex Chriss is in charge. Now, I've not seen him comment about this specifically. And more likely than not, part of that is it's the holidays, but the other part is with lawsuits being on the table, tends to be that companies have to be careful in what they say, what they do, and how they approach it. I do hope that we'll get something from Alex Chriss, the CEO, on PayPal Honey, and just some comments. PayPal should be making some revenue off of Honey. When it does that, search for discounts. It sometimes finds them. They deserve to make something, but to actually take somebody's referral code, that's not cool. And I hope that ends immediately. So as far as what this will actually do to PayPal over the long term, I think it's really a nothing burger. The one thing that might happen is it might be, even though that PayPal would be getting pennies on the dollar for Honey, it might be appropriate for them to look to divest from this product, especially if they can run the advanced offers platform without needing Honey. Now, what would be a potential buyer for PayPal's product? Well, there's quite a few discount companies out there that would really benefit from that easy integration of the technology. One of those that I've been looking at as a company recently is Ibotta. They've been around for a number of years. And of course, they are big into that coupon business. They have agreements with merchants and also with consumers. And if you actually have used their app before, it's not the best. You have to manually click and put in things, and it doesn't function quite right. And so if they can purchase Honey for, yes, pennies on the dollar, would be a loss for PayPal overall, but at least they would get some money off of it. If this is something they don't plan to use much of in the future, it may make sense to sell. And so we'll have to see. But that may be a benefit to both of these companies. But for now, let me know what you think. Are you concerned about PayPal as a result of this Honey debacle? Are you just saying, you know what, I'm going to never use PayPal again? Have you changed your position on PayPal? Perhaps you've sold your shares, or perhaps you used the dip to buy more. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching and subscribing. And for now, happy investing.